It's 10:02. I call the meeting for the Committee on Economic Development to order. Madame the Clerk, roll call, please.
Each member is acknowledging that they are attending the meeting via Zoom and that they are located in Wayne County, Michigan, unless otherwise stated when I call your name. Commissioner Varga?
Here.
Commissioner Palomera?
Here.
Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Here.
Commissioner Daub?
Here.
Commissioner Baydoun?
Here.
Commissioner Anderson? Chair Hattis?
Present.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item.
B, Chair's remarks.
I have no remark today, and we move to the next item.
C, approval of the April 20th, 2021 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Motion
Support.
been made. Thank you. Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those who agree signify by saying aye.
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 Oppose, motion carried. Next item.
D, unfinished business. There is none listed.
Okay, next item.
Item 1, under new business, communication from Wyandotte City Council forwarding a notice of a public hearing on the establishment of a commercial rehabilitation district on the south side of Eureka Road between 14th and 16th Streets in the city of Wyandotte.
Move to receive and file.
Support.
Motion been made and supported to receive and file. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, motion carried. Next item.
Item 2, requesting commission approval of an 18-month professional services contract with the Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan.
We have with us the president and CEO, Mr. Sean Wilson. Mr. Wilson, would you like to take it away?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to come and share a little bit about the work that the Boys and Girls Clubs of Southeastern Michigan are doing, and specifically in the area of workforce development and entrepreneurship. I'm going to ask Jennifer Trussell to pull up the deck. And so we just put together a few slides to, one, introduce the council to the commissioners to the Boys and Girls Club. You know, Boys and Girls Clubs has a very well-known brand. We've been around for 95 years as an organization. The Boys and Girls Club holistically have been around for, 160 years. But when people think of Boys and Girls Club, they traditionally think of a safe place, which is great, but they also think of gym swim, right? They picture kids probably playing pool, shooting hoops, those kind of things, which are all amazing items for youth to participate in. But when I came in as president and CEO 2.5 years ago, we sought to reimagine Boys and Girls Club for greater community impact. And we did that by first and foremost sitting with over 300 community stakeholders in my first 100 days. I led about a dozen visioning sessions and benchmarking tours, and just asked the question, how do we reimagine Boys and Girls Club for greater community impact? So the next slide will share with you what came out of those visioning sessions. And the clear answer from the community, and we met with youth, parents, staff, board members, funders, elected officials, and the answer that came out of these visioning sessions was for us to treat the root cause of the issue facing our youth, which is poverty. I've been doing this work for 25 years, and I've spent time trying to move the needle on, if we could just get our kids to graduate on time, if we could reduce teen pregnancy rates, if we could stop our young men from becoming incarcerated. But those are all just symptoms. The truth is, the core root of that is poverty, poverty, poverty. And so we put together this model to put youth on a pathway towards economic mobility. And what economic mobility means for us is that our youth will leave our clubs career, startup, and homeowner ready. So career ready from a standpoint of they can earn a livable wage throughout their lifetime. Startup meaning they can start their own business, basically create their own jobs, and in many cases create jobs for others. And then home ownership. Home ownership is the key to wealth building, as we all know, in our country, but it's also how we pass generational wealth from one generation to the other. So we want to make sure we're truly breaking the cycle and not just for one generation. So how we get there is through this ladder of first access, making sure that we're in neighborhoods, making sure that we're affordable, and then safety, making sure that the space is safe, both physically and social and emotionally, mentally, and then skills, everything from free play to organized sports to 21st century skills. And then finally, self-efficacy. So we have to build a belief in our youth that they can have a successful career, that they can start their own business, that they can own their own home. And we don't do that simply by putting them in front of a mirror and having them recite affirmations, right? Or giving them a pep talk. We actually do that by helping them build a resume or a portfolio of accomplishments in those key areas that tells them that they can actually accomplish these goals because they've already done it. Now, if you go to the next slide, what you'll see is that ultimately we're smart enough to recognize that we can't do this work on our own. That's a big vision. No one organization can do that work and accomplish that on their own. So when I came on, we basically drew a 5-mile radius around each of our clubs, and we said, this is our ecosystem. So first, we're going to understand our role in this ecosystem in helping to drive economic mobility. We're going to partner with other individuals in the ecosystem who are doing the work. And then in some cases, if there's a gap in the ecosystem, we'll recruit people in. And what's come out of that is what you can see on the left-hand side is that we have educational partners, we have program partners. This was a big shift for the Boys and Girls Clubs because in the past, as with a lot of organizations, they try to do everything, right? One organization tries to do it all. We say, we want to get into STEM and STEAM. Okay, we'll train our staff to do that. We want to teach our kids video production and coding. We'll do that ourselves. What we decided to do was go out and find small businesses, small startups, small nonprofits in our ecosystem and pay them to come in and deliver those services. And then we took a hard look at our vendors and said, let's make sure that we're feeding the ecosystem. Let's make sure that who we're using for IT, for catering, for cleaning, that they're within the ecosystem. What that's done is allowed us to put back 1.8 million into our ecosystem over the last 2 years. So we'll serve 21,000 youth and families this year, and that's a indicator of success. But also we look at, if we're truly about economic mobility, we have to see how we're contributing to that in the ecosystem. So 1.8 million, primarily minority-owned businesses, Black, brown businesses, female-owned businesses. Also, we merged with Pony Ride. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar, but Pony Ride is a co-working space and a maker space that was in Corktown for about 10 years. We actually merged with them. So I'm sitting in a Pony Ride co-working space right now that's located in our clubs. Pony Ride is only located in our clubs now. This year we'll have 5 co-working and maker spaces throughout Southeastern Michigan, throughout our clubs. And we have about 51 small businesses that are housed in our facilities and participating in our facilities. Also, we're the only Boys and Girls Club to offer that. And we're also the only Boys and Girls Club in the country to have a commercial retail space. So if any of you are familiar with Detroit is the New Black on Woodward, that's actually a Boys and Girls Club. We hold the lease there. There's about 12 brands in there, including Detroit is the New Black, who sublease from Boys and Girls Club. We take them through a fashion and design incubator and accelerator as well. So we're rotating brands every 2 to 3 months in that space. So the bottom line is, for us, we're truly digging into the ecosystem, truly trying to drive economic mobility. And this is just one example of one ecosystem, which is in Detroit, Wayne County. And you can see the density of work that we're doing. And then our goal is to expand this model over the next 5 years. So if you go to the next slide, Jen. This will give you a take of our 5-year goals. So we want to grow from 21,000 youth this year to 48,000 youth families and entrepreneurs served across Southeastern Michigan. You can see our footprint currently, which is Pontiac, Auburn Hills. Obviously, Wayne County is really our density. That's where we have the most number of our clubs. And then Romulus, Belleville, we're also serving that. But we're in the process of expanding. And we're being recruited into communities now because of our model. So for instance, we actually were recruited back to Pontiac because of our economic mobility model. We're looking to expand into Mount Clemens and East Point, Macomb County, because of our model. So we're working with the mayors and the community there to bring this holistic model there. And as you can see, is ultimately we're scaling all of the different types of clubs that we support, whether it's school-based sites, community clubs, industry clubs, which we'll talk about because that's really the core of our request to this body. Next slide, Jen. So the key assumptions to us being able to scale is that once again, we'll get to 48,000 youth and family. Our growth is going to be driven by expansion of the ecosystem, meaning we're strengthening our existing clubs and then expanding with strategic partnerships, mergers, acquisitions. It's going to take $86 million over 5 years for us to fully fund the growth and scale of what we're doing. But what I love about our model is that 41 million of that is projected, or nearly half of that is projected to remain in the ecosystem, go back into the ecosystem as I described before. And then finally, the key assumption, and one of the things we had to look at is we had to diversify and have to diversify our funding streams. Corporations, foundations were really strong in that. Earned revenue, we're growing in that from co-working memberships, facility rentals, makerspace. But then government, we received little to no government funding to date. And so that's something that we're really going after because we understand that in order to sustain this growth and sustain this model, we have to have a diverse revenue mix. Next slide, please. So that really leads us in. So I kind of shared the high level of what we're doing, but this really drills down. And to give you an example, so the Fashion and Design Industry Club is what we launched last year. It gives youth an immersive deep dive into fashion and design. They learn everything from cutting and sewing, kind of the front end of the business, if you will, to working in Detroit as a New Black and learning the retail side, right? Marketing, all of that good stuff. And just put it in perspective, the youth were paid $10 an hour to learn the business. They earned an average of $1,500 over 14 weeks. We paid $3,500 in licensing fees. So we had them do a social justice t-shirt and hoodie design competition, and we actually licensed their designs from them, Boys and Girls Club did. And then we helped them bring it to market, and they did $10,000 during February alone. So real quick, back to that self-efficacy. If you ask our youth now, do you believe you could have a career in fashion and design? Yes. Do you believe you could start a business in fashion and design? Yes. Why? Because they've actually done it. Next slide, please. This just gives some additional stats. I won't spend a lot of time here, but ultimately we track the number of skill-based hours of training that they receive. We track the percentage of youth that actually come back for a second cohort or come back for a second industry club. So you can see 73% came back. So we're a very data-driven organization. Next slide, please. And then finally, this shows you, and this was at the heart of the request of this body, is that ultimately, we had the Fashion Design Industry Club. We just announced 2 weeks ago the second industry club, which is focused on data science and risk management. We're looking to announce next month a third industry club around sports and entertainment. And then finally, a fourth industry club this year around urban planning and mobility. But all in all, we're looking at launching 14 industry clubs across our organizations by 2025. And so that's why we're really excited about this opportunity to potentially seek funding from the county. And with that, I'll open it up for questions. Thank you, Jennifer.
Excellent. Excellent. We appreciate that. I know I'm a little bit familiar with the club because the mayor of Romulus and Belleville, every year they have a special event, and I've been attending that. And what you do, and it's building to the future for the young generation. And create a job and education, how to deal with yourself when you have a job. So I open the question to the commissioner. Any question from the commissioner to Mr. Wilson?
Mr. Chair, I have a few questions, but does Chair Bell want to go before me?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Melissa.
Okay.
Mr. Dom, you can go and I'll go last.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in our analysis packet, it says that the proof of insurance and the certificate of employment practices and the ethics and contracting vendor form were not submitted. Why were those not submitted?
Yep, so we received that request and we did submit it yesterday. So our vice president of the human resources completed it and so it should be fully submitted now.
Okay, great. And then I have a question. So you mentioned, data, you're very data driven, and you did have a slide on measuring the success of this program. And I understand it's just getting started, but are you also going to be tracking how, tracking the individual students who complete the program and what they do after they complete the program? Like, are they going to graduate from high school? Are they going to enter college? Like, how far are you going to track the students to see if your program made an impact on their lives after they've left the Boys and Girls Club?
Nope, that's a great question. To your point, the program's a year old. We're scaling it as we speak, but for us, there's a couple of shifts that we're making as Boys and Girls Club. So one is obviously Boys and Girls Club traditionally only go up to 18, but because of our model now, more of a whole community model, we're really looking to track these youth up to 24. And then also because of our Pony Ride, the merger with Pony Ride, in essence, there's really no need for the youth to leave the club at 18, right? Because now we have co-working space, we have maker space, we have those different components. And we've actually seen an anecdotal impact where we had a young man who left who graduated out of the club at 18 about a year and a half ago. And because of our work now, we're able to hire him on and kind of bridge his maturity, right? For about a year and a half, we gave him a job working with our facilities team. And then after a year and a half, he went out and was able to get another job. But it really it was eye-opening for us because before it was just this clear cut at 18, thanks, let us know how we can help. But that gap is so critical for some youth because,
I agree.
They're maturity-wise yet.
Yeah, they're still children at 18, even though they're legally adults. And I love that idea of keeping them in the club a little bit longer because, when I have a son who just turned 18 last year, and it's like, they're not magically grown adults at that age. So I really think that's a good idea for you guys to continue contact with them and continue your mentorship. My next question is, you kind of answered. I was going to ask what grades and ages you have in the school. How do children enroll in the clubs and the industry schools? And is there a cost to your program?
Yep. So the cost just for a membership, all of our programs are pretty much free. We do have some specialty sports camps programs that we charge a small fee for, but overall it's $50 a year. So that's part of that access on our ladder. We have to be affordable. So $50 a year traditionally is affordable, but we do still provide about 3,000 to 4,000 scholarships. Because if you're a mom or a dad that has 3 children, $150, that's a significant chunk. And so we truly don't turn anyone away from a cost standpoint.
Okay, great. And then you mentioned that you don't receive you get little to no government funding. Can you explain why you don't get any government funding, and do you apply for it? Do you apply for grants, or are you just turned down for those for any reason?
No, it just wasn't a focus. Once again, I've only been with the org for 2.5 years. So we get some, DOJ dollars for mentoring, things of that nature. I would say that's about $100,000 a year max. And then recently, as a collective, Boys and Girls Club throughout Michigan was able to be built into the state budget. For $1 million, we'll receive about 100 of that, about 125 of that, I think. So minimal, you know, to a certain extent, but it wasn't because of any reason other than we weren't strategic about going after the dollars, right? And so now we're being more strategic around it.
Okay, great. I just want to say that I have visited one of your locations. I cannot remember which one it was. I think might be the one you're at now, because I remember you showing me the work or the maker space, the shared working spaces that were being built at the time, and I was very impressed with what you're doing with the clubs. And I encourage the commissioners, if you get a chance, contact Sean, Mr. Wilson, and ask him to give you a tour of one of their locations, because I think he's doing a great job with the Boys and Girls Club. And that is all I had, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, Madam the Chair, you said you want to be the last?
Yeah, I'll let committee members go first. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay, now we go back. I think the next, I saw the hand up, Sam Baidoon.
No, I don't have anything, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have next. I'm trying to go through the screen to see the other hand. It's Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Commissioner Chair. I just wanted to, I just wanted to ask a quick question of the administration. This is a new area that we're getting into apparently, because I don't recall ever seeing this before. And I'm not critical of the program, but I wanted to know, are we planning on doing the same thing in some of the other communities that are in need, that have strong needs to work with the youth? Because we're spending about $250,000 it's proposed for this program, and I do believe, you know, the Boys and Girls Club are certainly worthwhile and a good organization. But I'd like to ask someone from the administration: are we looking at doing this with in other communities?
Yep, Wafa Denaro Economic Development. So right now we're looking at all options. We really are trying to be creative. We think workforce development is really important. We think getting resources to the youth is really important. So we're really just trying to be creative and looking at all options. So if you have an organization you want us to look into, please send it my way. We'll absolutely consider it. We know we're getting a large influx of money, and we want to make sure we're spending it correctly, properly, and having the largest impact with this money that's coming in.
Okay. Are there any restrictions as far as the types of organizations? Because I know the YMCA and the YWCA, I believe they're still two separate organizations. Are they, would they qualify?
I don't know. We're still waiting on Treasury guidance on what we can spend this money on. So I don't know yet. But if you want to send me those organizations, we can definitely look into it once we have a little bit more guidance on what those programs will look like.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I appreciate what you've done since you've been there, Wafa. The only other thing to the chair, I was just going to mention that I apologize, but I had difficulties getting online, so I had to resort to my phone. So I apologize for being late, but I want to make sure I'm counted as being present. Thank you.
No problem. Any other question from the member or the attendee?
Move approval.
I'll support.
Motion been made and supported. Any other discussion?
Yes, good morning. This is
Good
Chair
morning,
Bell.
yes.
How are you?
Oh, yes.
Appreciate you all this morning. Just wanted to pop on really quick. I am in total support of this contract. It's so important. I think that we be proactive with our young people and exposing them to different career paths. and making sure that they have the tools necessary to be successful as adults. The Boys and Girls Club has been doing this for a number of years. I'm so impressed with the work that Mr. Wilson has been doing in his 2.5 years at the Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan. And to Commissioner Anderson's point, this is uniquely qualified for Wayne County because the Boys and Girls Clubs are located throughout Wayne County, in Romulus, Dearborn, Detroit, Highland Park. There are Boys and Girls Clubs that touch children throughout Wayne County, which is why I'm in such support of this. So I just want to again thank Mr. Wilson for his presentation, thank the committee for your consideration. And if this is passed, I look forward to what it's going to do for our young people, because as I stated, all of those different industry clubs are things that those young people would not necessarily be exposed to if not for the Boys and Girls Club providing this opportunity. So thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing me to speak, and you all have a great day.
Excellent. Thank you, Madam the Chair. I
Chair
think
Hattis?
that, yes.
Before you all take the vote, because of the issues mentioned by Commissioner Dodd, this needs to be moved contingent upon, so it can be returned to the department so those forms can be uploaded.
Is the motion maker agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll support.
Motion been made and supported. All those who agree signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
I need to stop by Melissa to go to the bathroom. I gotta pee bad.
Any abstain? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Wilson, and we wish you well, and I'm sure you will
Split a
serve
breakfast.
Wayne County very well.
Oh,
Thank you.
Are you
I'm
hungry?
gonna go to the bathroom there.
well,
Thank
I
you.
guess like
Oh, wait a minute. I got another committee.
community, you got them all day.
Glenn, you need to mute your phone.
Sorry.
Next item, Madam the Clerk.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I have none.
Public comments.
Anybody from the public like to comment? And we'll unmute everybody to, if there anybody from the public like to comment. Again, any person from the public like to comment on the Economic Development Committee agenda for last time? Anybody from the public like to comment? Not. Thank you. Next item.
Adjournment.
So
Move
moved.
to adjourn. Support.
Motion been made and supported. All those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carry. I think now we have Miss the Chair Mareki